Hello everybody, this is Patrick from 8-Bit Doodads with another video in my Quick Take series for the Apple II. I got a couple new cards that I want to show off to you and install in my main driver PC and demonstrate how they work.
Say, kids, what time is it?
It's 8-Bit Doodads time!
The first of these cards is this interesting and actually doesn't have a whole lot of chips on it device. It's a new open source project that someone's put up on GitHub. You can actually order the boards and build these yourself. And the unique thing about it, you'll notice, is it has this Pico Pi in there that is doing all the logic. The firmware on here and the program that runs on it is what makes this board function. You can't tell from just looking at it what this board does. And in fact, there are multiple boards that are just like this that are using the Pico Pi, but they're all doing very different things, or at least there are several different iterations that have different functionalities. You can't tell from just looking at it what this might be because you're missing what plugs into here. I'm going to open up my Apple so you can see it. And there's a little ribbon cable that plugs in, and you simply plug this into any slot in your Apple IIe, and what's plugged onto the back of it, if you'll notice it's coming up, is a VGA cable. And in fact, in my case, and this is the reason I got it, I have an adapter that converts the VGA to HDMI, so I can plug this into an HDMI capture device and be able to record on the screen what's going on, not just be able to see it here. And in fact, as you can see, I'll pop up a window. That's my HDMI capture device, so that when I turn on the Apple II, it's going to start booting, as you can see. And I have both the screen right here in front of me, as well as what's being captured that you can see on the screen. And in this case, it's playing Pesky Robots. I'm going to turn that off so we don't have to hear that. And talk a little bit more about the card. What this card is actually doing is it's not a traditional video card that people have had in older Apple IIs to give you 80 columns, or on an Apple IIe, usually this is the extended 80 column card, which gives you 80 columns in the IIe, and also gives you additional memory. That's doing some things for driving the video. On an Apple II, the part of RAM, which is the part down here is the RAM, is actually the video memory. And what the Apple does is as you write to that memory, there's a video chip in there that's displaying the output on the composite port. What this machine does is it snoops on the Apple II bus everything that's going on here, and it's basically copying all the writes that are going to memory, and it's caching them on that Raspberry Pi, and then the software on the Raspberry Pi is generating the image. So that's how we got a VGA signal out. As I said, I have an adapter. The reason I got the card was to be able to do captures like this for future videos, but also allows me to use a monitor like this, which can do composite, but it also has VGA input, and the picture on that is a lot clearer than it would be coming out of the composite, especially in text modes. The other card, since I have this open, and we'll talk about, is this one. And this actually relates to that game you saw coming up, Pesky Robots, which has been written for several Commodores. They also did a port on the Apple IIe. And one of the neat things about it is it will allow you to use a SNES, a Super Nintendo controller to control the game, which the games do use all of the buttons on this controller, which is a lot easier than using the keyboard or using joysticks to play the game. This card installed in an Apple II provides all the intelligence needed, and Adrian Black, who wrote Petsky Robots, made sure that the port of it for the Apple II supported this particular card. And on this card, you can use, it has two SNES ports here, and I happen to have a wire controller. There are wireless versions of this controller, and this card came with one of those wireless adapters. The nice thing about this, you can't get this plug inside an Apple through any of the standard holes that are on the back for mounting DB25s or that VGA connector. So by using a wireless controller, it can be installed inside the machine and you can close the lid. In my case, for right now, I have to have it go outside the lid and try not to put anything heavy on top of it. As you can see, it doesn't allow you to close the lid all the way because of the thickness of that cable. So at some point, I'm going to get me one of those wireless adapters. The reason I showed you these both at the same time is because of that game that came up a second ago, which is Petsky Robots. It allows me to play the game on a modern monitor and using a SNES adapter. As you can see. And it asks what slot the SNES is in. And there you go. So there's Petsky Robots running an Apple IIe using the SNES controller. And I found the pit still. So at some point we're going to do a video on playing this game. That's one of the challenges. Greg and I want to play the game on an Apple II and on a Commodore side by side and see how they appear, how they compare to each other with the appearances like what have you. So that's a quick look on these two new cards. One thing I'll mention, this video card was only $35. Another reason I bought it was very inexpensive, and that included shipping. And I think the SNES adapter was about the same. It might have been $25 plus $5 shipping, but it was in that $30, $35 range as well. If you like this video, please hit that thumbs up. You can also subscribe if you haven't already done so you can get notified of future videos. And I look forward to you joining us, comment on these videos online and join us in the conversation about using 8-bit machines.